Defense
arguments begin tomorrow. Trump was found liable last year in a trial over Carroll's claims of sexual assault and defamation. She argues in this second civil case, he's still defaming her with his denials, and she's seeking $10 million in damages. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says talks on a border deal and aid to Israel and Ukraine will continue over the weekend. He says they continue to move forward and that Democrats are negotiating in good faith. Republicans are pressing for policy change on the border, not just more funding. Separately, Senate Republicans are proposing a bill to put a citizenship question on the census, aiming to keep illegal immigrants from being counted.
Tennessee Senator Bill Hagerty says that would ensure only legal citizens are counted when organizing congressional districts. He believes current law gives an unfair advantage to blue states and cities.
This loophole that's being exercised is giving disproportionate power of the vote to people that live in sanctuary states and sanctuary cities.
The bill has a slim chance of passing with Democrats controlling the Senate and the White House. The U.S. Constitution says that persons are counted on the census and does not specify that they need to be citizens.
Fox's Ryan Schmelz on Capitol Hill. A late rally into record territory on Wall Street. The Dow up 242 points, back over 38K. The S&P up 25, the NASDAQ up 28. America is listening to Fox News.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The patented key ingredient is something called Testofen, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again, at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text ALL to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text ALL to 321-321. That's ALL to 321-321.
A member of a white supremacist group is found guilty of a federal hate crime for defacing the walls of a Michigan synagogue.
A federal jury convicts Nathan Whedon of conspiracy against rights and damage to religious property. Prosecutors say in 2019, the 23-year-old and others spray-painted swastikas and symbols associated with the white supremacist group The Base on the walls of Temple Jacob, a Jewish synagogue in Hancock. Two co-conspirators previously pleading guilty to charges. A sentencing hearing will be set at a later date.
Fox's Kristen Goodwin. The Justice Department says anti-Semitism has no place in our society, pledging to aggressively prosecute such cases. Emergency crews responding to a partial church collapse in downtown New London, Connecticut. Not clear yet how it happened or if anyone was hurt. A large part of the church collapsed. Much of the roof and one side of the building now a pile of rubble. Fox 61 reporting it's the former New London First Congregational Church, now used by the Engaging Heaven Church, which posted that everyone is accounted for with no injuries reported. Another NFL team finds a head coach for the second time in as many days.
Wednesday, the Los Angeles Chargers announced that Jim Harbaugh is their new head coach. Thursday, NFL Network reported that the Carolina Panthers are closing in on a deal to make Tampa Bay Buccaneers offensive coordinator Dave Canales their new head coach. In a span of 12 months, Canales' career has seen him go from quarterbacks coach of the Seattle Seahawks to Bucs offensive coordinator, and now his first head coaching job with the Panthers, a team that posted the worst record in the NFL this season, 2-15. Canales is 42 years old, an NFL assistant for 14 years. The Panthers hope his success with Tampa Bay quarterback Baker Mayfield will translate to a better future for #1 overall draft pick Bryce Young. Jared Max, Fox News.
Recapping stocks, the Dow up 242, again a late rally getting back over 38K. The S&P still in record territory and close to 4,900. And Lisa Brady, Fox News.
Hello again, everyone. Let's check weather for East Central Illinois, Champaign, Urbana, and vicinity. Low clouds, fog, reduced visibility is pretty much the story that continues on here, and the dense fog advisory as well. Drizzle and spots this morning, rain this afternoon. That fog continues on through this afternoon as well. Up to 46 the high with a gentle north to northwesterly wind settling on in. Some rain lingers early on tonight. Cloudy skies, patchy fog low down to 36. Tomorrow, cloudy skies, patchy fog, little drizzle and spots early in the day. Highs to 43 degrees with a light northwest to north wind, so the mild weather pattern continues on. Weekend forecast, not much sun, a little more rain back in for the afternoon and evening hours of Saturday. Highs up to about 42 there. Could be a snow shower or a couple of snowflakes in the air both Sunday morning. High temperature up near 41 degrees with a mostly cloudy sky and a gusty north wind. Quiet weather good part of next week. Mild with 40s by day, upper 20s and lower 30s at night, and a little bit of sunshine returning as well. For Stevie J Broadcasting, I'm meteorologist Greg Soldier.
Hey, what's up? It's The Drive with Tay and Piper, ESPN Radio 93.5. Derek Piper, Lante, Kyle Tosk. Quite a basketball game in Evanston last night.
That was a hell of a basketball game.
The Illini unfortunately fall 96-91 in an overtime thriller to the Wildcats. Boo Buie goes crazy. Illinois offensively had a pretty good night. Had some tough finishes at the rim that didn't go down, but it was the defensive issues that ultimately swung the game and allowed Northwestern, who has been very, very good at home, have beaten number 1 Purdue and then added number 10 Illinois to their resume. We're going to start off the show. Obviously, we're going to talk a lot about that game, but we'll get an inside perspective from our guy Luke Goody, who's on the Tapman's Towing phone line right now. This segment brought to you by some great sponsors, as always: Dogtown Heating, Air, and Plumbing, your home's best friend; First Federal Savings Bank, local and trusted; and by Max Twin City Recycling. Luke, thanks for joining us. How you doing today? I know it was probably a disappointing and tough one to take last night, but a pretty high-level game. What say you on that?
Yeah, it was a tough loss last night, but it was one of the better atmospheres to play in. It's fun when the crowd is split 50-50 because people are cheering regardless of what happens in the game. So it was an enjoyable atmosphere, and unfortunately we lost, but it was just a good cause basketball game.
As you think back, you guys had a chance to win it at the end of regulation. Bowie makes that play to then score on the pump fake, got Terrence in the air and scored it. Damask had a chance at the very last few seconds getting the switch and taking that shot. There's a number of different angles that we can hit on with you as far as breaking down this game, but just wanted your thoughts on that final look you guys got in regulation. It seemed like matchup-wise, it was exactly what Brad Underwood probably drew up in that last huddle.
Yeah, at the end of the game, we wanted to get Marcus downhill. He was having a good game. He was hot. I think he had 20 points at the time, so our whole game plan was get the mismatches, find the mismatches, and kind of space them out, and that's what we did. Marcus got his mismatch and got downhill, shot a shot that he makes, good amount of time, and unfortunately it didn't go in, but, we live with that, and we're confident with him shooting that shot every time.
Luke, I've asked a lot of dumb questions, so I'm going to go for it. Have you ever lost a game, but at the end you're like, man, that was a fun game? Because I walked in today to the radio station. I said, I know I'm supposed to be upset, but that was one heck of a basketball game to watch.
Yeah, no, I definitely, regardless of a win or loss, it's exciting to me. It doesn't make me happy. It doesn't necessarily say I'm happy with the outcome, but, those environments are kind of why you play the game at this level, and, it makes it a lot of fun. To have fans, Illinois fans showed out last night, and Northwestern fans did a good job, but at the end of the day, I did enjoy playing in the game, but obviously the losing part of it was kind of a sour taste in our mouths after that, regardless of kind of how it was.
Both offenses played at a high level. Obviously, a lot of points. You went into overtime, which is understandably you're going to add to that total. But, man, the offense, we can get to defense, but on offense, both of those teams last night, you guys were really trigger happy, and they were all going in, it seemed like.
Yeah. I mean, both teams, they shot a ridiculous amount from the three-point line. Everybody on their team shoots better at home, statistically speaking, and we knew that going into the scouting them going into the game. And, their guys were able to hit shots, and that's really what it came down to. Boo was able to get downhill, and they hit some tough shots. Brooks was able to hit shots, and Ty Berry hit a couple timely shots. And, we were able to kind of go back and forth with them throughout the game, but at the end of the game, they hit the shots that matter more. So in overtime, they hit a couple of threes that were off of our mistakes, and credit to them, they shot the ball well.
Luke Boo Buie's one of the best guards in the country, as you know. 29 points last night, 7 assists. He didn't have any assists in Champaign, so you guys did a good job of cutting off his outlets and ability to hit other guys in that matchup. Maybe what was different last night, and I know you got caught on some switches with him, which they were playing into. I know you guys do the same thing offensively at the other end of playing into some mismatches and just some things that they want to do. What makes him so tough when you're trying to cut him off and what he can bring to the table?
Yeah, he's a special player. He's done this now for the last 3-4 years. Just being able to score the ball when their team needs the points. And when they played at home against us, we were up for most of the game, so he kind of had to take over, couldn't really pass the ball, control the game. And last night, he was able to control the game. It was close throughout, and his teammates were hitting shots, so being able to get downhill and spray the ball was good for him. It's tough to guard him because he is so small, and those refs were very quick with a whistle, and that's how it is in the Big Ten. Though they want to make sure those guys get their shots, and credit to him, he had a great game, and he's a good player, so it's definitely tough to stop him.
Brad talked about after the game going with the 5-way switching. I know you guys did some of that last year, and even this year you guys have switched plenty. You see Coleman on guards, and this isn't maybe a new concept for you guys. I just wonder for a player, when they're running some of those rubs to get the matchup, is it hard as a player to maybe be selective with it, to say, no, actually, I know they're bringing an action towards Terrence maybe to try to get Terrence off of Boo. How does that play out from a player's perspective on defense to say, maybe Terrence can slide through this and stick with it? I know that if you get caught up on it, they'll maybe flare that out for a 3 with the guy who is the screener. But how do you see that? And is it tough to maybe on the fly decide when you want to switch and not?
Yeah, well, it kind of is what it is. Our principles are either 1 through 4 switching or 1 through 5 switching on the ball. So, when they go get Terrence off of Boo and put, me and Marcus, they did that for the most part last night. It's just kind of how it is. I don't think the ISO stuff. I mean, Boo hit a step back on me, which was a good shot. But other than that, I mean, when they did that switching, it wasn't necessarily on the ball. He got downhill a couple times. Times that I can think on Terrence to tie the game up with 20 seconds left, and then that step back 3 on me. But outside of that, I mean, it wasn't really the one-on-one. It was the off-ball stuff that killed us. So.
Right.
He was able to get downhill on some ball screens too, some high ball screens when we were in 1 through 4 switching, and then drop coverage. He was able to hit a couple floaters and stuff like that. But outside of that, I mean, honestly, after watching the game and everything, when they did that switching, they didn't really get too much out of that. It was mostly the guys kind of off the ball that killed us, coming off of the down screens and pin downs and stuff like that. So in terms of matchups, I don't think that was the issue. People on Twitter. I just reading the stuff after the game, they talking about like they're going after people and stuff like that, and why do we switch and do all this stuff? But it's just kind of what we do, and I don't think that's what hurt us last night. I think it was the mistakes and kind of off ball stuff.
We know Terrence is still trying to get back in a rhythm, as anybody would be, missing 3 weeks and not practicing and trying to reacclimate into this team. Had a tougher night offensively with 5 turnovers and only made 3 field goals. Just how have you seen things from him? A guy that we know is talent. We know that he's going to get going again, but what maybe challenges there for him to try to get back into that rhythm? And I do want to ask you too, I mean, it was your first experience on the road with him since being back, and obviously they targeted him in terms of chance and whatnot. Did that affect him or affect you guys at all?
Anybody being out for a month, it's tough, regardless if you're out for injury or regardless of what you're out for. Just playing basketball in the Big Ten, it's impossible to replicate when you're not actually doing it. So being on the road with him, kind of playing against Northwestern in an environment like that, with him, just coming back into the fold is tough, and I'm confident that he'll be back and ready to go.
I know that when he went down off of the hit that Barry gave to him in the face, and I'm not asking you to say something that you wouldn't want to say, but it seemed like the fans were getting chirpy, and maybe you had something to say back to them. How tough was it in terms of what they they were given to him. Obviously, he's caught in a situation that's pretty sensitive, and that you guys will probably be facing this as you go on the road a lot, and just a target on his back, so to speak.
Yeah, kind of when he went down, it wasn't necessarily all the chants that they were doing. Like, we were prefaced before the game. That stuff's going to happen just because of the whole situation, the nature of the situation. But, a couple of the fans in the front row were saying some things, just completely didn't have to deal with the whole, like, what he's dealing with. It was more just disrespectful towards him as a person, saying that, they wish that he would stay on the ground and that he was hurt and out for the game. Just disrespectful stuff, I feel like it's kind of my role to back my teammate up in situations like that.
Did you guys show a zone for a second, and then they called timeout? I was like, what?
Yeah, we did. It's something that the Celtics do, and that's kind of something that we integrated just to steal possession here and there. And, it actually worked the one time that we did in the game.
Would it bother you? I say this because I understand Brad Underwood is man-to-man, and a lot of practically all of college basketball is man. Would it bother you? Because we get questions all the time. Why don't they show a zone on occasion if a team is on a roll and they're able to do this? Would it bother you to play zone, do you think? Or does that kind of go against what you guys are about?
Honestly, I think it's a good thing to have in our back pocket. When you can mix something up, teams get things going and they see certain things. And in the Big Ten, it's a copycat league, so they find something that they like and they stick with it for the rest of the game. Essentially, you saw that with Northwestern last night with the high ball screen and getting the switches and stuff like that. They ran that for the last 8 minutes of the game. So having a zone in to be able to disrupt actions like that, I think, is big. Most teams you see in the Big Ten actually have it.
Sure.
And it's kind of interesting because it is the first year that we've done it in my 3 years here now. So that's kind of interesting. But you watch teams, Michigan ran it against us. Maryland ran it against us a little bit. You got teams that full court press and zone and stuff like that. So just having that in our back pockets, I think, is something that's important.
I would imagine Luke Goody, your eyes get about as big as they can when you see the other team in a zone.
Yeah, 100%. Usually the teams aren't in a zone when I'm in the game.
Right.
So, yeah. Against Michigan, maybe a couple possessions, but when I was in the game for the most part, teams don't really run zone.
I mean, how cool is that, though, to know that, like, yeah, teams don't play zone when I'm in there. I mean, that's pretty cool, Luke.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say, like, I'm the complete reason why they don't. But, hey, to know that they have to, think a little bit more with me on the floor when they're in the zone is, means I'm doing something.
Like, I could see you walking around campus with a placard, like, instead of a necklace, and it just says, teams don't zone when I'm in the game. I think you ought to do that, Luke, and just walk around for a day, and people will be like, dang right, that's Luke Goody, man.
Yeah, hey, that might be an idea. I'll put on a shirt or something.
Right.
Look out, Syracuse. That's why Jim Boeheim retired. That's what I heard.
It took Goody to get rid of him.
Yeah. Luke, you did hit back-to-back threes there in that first half, I believe. What was that feeling like? I know it was early in the game, but like you mentioned, just the way the crowd was going, it just seemed like a back-and-forth type of battle where you guys maybe like that went on a 6-0 run. Northwestern would have their response and vice versa. How good did that feel to go on that little stretch, but just kind of the dynamic of the punch-for-punch dynamic with that game?
Yeah, to be able to contribute like that in the game is definitely big. Come and hit a couple shots back-to-back. I think they were up, 3 or 4 or 5 points at that time when I came in and hit back-to-back shots. So just, helping my teammates get going. Back in this 6-man role, 7th-man role, just off the bench with Justin, you definitely get a feel for the game, and you can understand what you need to come in and do. And yesterday, I needed to come in and hit shots. They started off pretty quick and hit a few shots and were super effective in what they were doing. And when I came in, I was able to hit a couple shots, and they couldn't really double as much in the post and kind of had to shrink the paint a little bit more. So being able to do that, was able to space the floor, and definitely got me in the rhythm of the game earlier.
A few more minutes with Luke Goody on the Tapman's Towing phone line. Speaking of punch for punch, were Coleman and Ty Berry about to throw down at the end of the game?
Yeah, I have no idea what happened. Like, the Maryland incident, I explained to you guys what happened because I was right there. And that Coleman one, I have no idea. So apparently Ty Berry said something to Justin, and Coleman went after him and he ran away. So I don't really know. So I'm not gonna, speak on that one.
Yeah. Transitioning to, you got a quick turnaround, prep, I'm imagining, film and stuff as you get the scout for Indiana and the Hoosiers come to town on Saturday. You've kind of been caught here recently with some of these game 2 days in between and then another game, so I'm sure you guys aren't in unfamiliar territory as that goes. I know we've asked you before just what the team process or scheduling is like after a game, but if you could take us inside, like what will today look like as you gear up for Indiana and how will you go about approaching just the gear up for – they're going to toss that ball up here in another about 48 hours or so.
Yeah, this is even shorter of a turnaround because we have a relatively early game on Saturday, and we didn't get home until 2:30 a.m. last night. So quick turnaround. We're going to get in the gym today, definitely go over scouting report and what they do, IU does, go over personnel and stuff like that, and make sure we're locked in, and then tomorrow we'll get after it and be ready to go Saturday. So we're looking forward to a good crowd Saturday, excited to play against IU and bounce back.
All right, Luke, because my mind goes there thinking about that. If you had an intra-squad UFC match, who does Luke Goody want to go against on Illinois, and who are you not even getting in the octagon with?
Well, I'm going to stay away from Dane.
Really?
Dane's a big dude. Yeah, Dane.
It's a long wingspan.
Yeah, and I'm gonna probably pick one of the point guards. Nico or Dre. If I'm gonna have to go after someone, but yeah, that's
Quincy probably be tough too, right?
Oh, I wouldn't face him.
Who, Quincy? Oh yeah. I forgot. I didn't even think about Quincy. I would not want to mess with him either.
He's got like old man
before
strength.
The season started. Yeah, before the season started and stuff, I called him a football player because I had to guard him in practice and. He'd try and just run people over. So I used to make a joke that he was Myles Garrett.
That's awesome.
If you get the win on Saturday, you calling up Uncle Trent Green or any of your Indiana connections in your family?
Yeah, well, my friends that go to IU are actually coming to the game. So, and my brother actually goes to IU. So I have a lot of bragging rights on the line. So I'm excited for this one Saturday.
I got to call this. When you have friends there, do you ever do like if you hit a three, do you ever do like a secret kind of point or something to them to kind of acknowledge that, or do you just stay away from that?
No, I stay away from it. I just talk to them after the game. Talk some trash after the game. So that's about it.
I love it. Good stuff.
Last one for you, Luke. Just kind of, I know you're in the middle of the Big Ten grind and still a lot to play for, obviously. 2 games behind in the Big Ten chase, but things could turn. You still get another chance with Purdue at the end of the schedule, Wisconsin at the end of the schedule. How are you guys just still maybe thinking about what this regular season could be, and obviously gearing up for March 2 is a big part of it as well?
Yeah, it's the Big Ten at the end of the day. Purdue lost to Northwestern at Northwestern, and Wisconsin has been – they've been playing well, but at the end of the day, we got to be ready to go. And, anything can happen. As you saw, Purdue went into Nebraska, and Nebraska didn't miss a shot. Kind of like, the Northwestern game, very similar. So we know that everything the Big Ten is capable, and any team is capable of losing any given night. So we just got to keep taking care of business for us, and, hopefully other teams kind of fall off and hit some road bumps just like we have so far, but we just got to stay consistent to what we do and continue on to the next one.
Good stuff. Luke Goody, rest up, get ready for one on Saturday. I know that, as you know, that's a battle that a lot of fans always gear up for, Illinois and Indiana.
It's my favorite,
the tension's going, and it will be fun to see that home atmosphere once again, and hopefully you'll have some things to say to your brother and your friends afterwards. So appreciate the time as always, man. We'll talk to you next week, and good luck on Saturday.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Luke Goody on the Tapman's Towing phone line. That once again brought to you by Dogtown Heating, Air, and Plumbing, your home's best friend. First Federal Savings Bank, local and trusted, and by Max Twin City Recycling.
I bet Luke would be scrappy in a fight.
Oh, 100%.
He'd be
100%.
He'd be like just throwing arms as fast as he can. Just coming at you from
He also
every
seems
angle.
like maybe a headlock guy.
Yeah, I
could
could
see Luke
that.
getting you in a headlock.
I could see that. No, I could definitely see that. I don't know why I thought of that, because I saw Ty Berry run like a little baby, and I don't blame him. I wouldn't want to mess with Coleman Hawkins if he's that much taller. I mean, he can hit you before you get within 4 feet of him, kind of like Dane with that arm reach. So, yeah, I don't blame him at all. I'm looking at this, I guess let me ask you guys this before we go to the next segment. How disappointed are you in the loss? And I'll start with Kyle, since you're more of the fan than Pipes. I mean, obviously, Pipes is a fan of Illinois, but he has to kind of become neutral to cover the team. I'm obviously a big fan. I was disappointed, Kyle, but yet, again, like I said, I just thought it was a high-level basketball game. Somebody had to win that thing. There were times, I mean, sure, you could analyze where that overtime where Northwestern got up 7 immediately and it was like, okay, this one's done. Or just the idea that you could not stop them. But, you know, I've watched Northwestern play quite a bit this year. I've got Ty Berry on my fantasy team, and I have not seen Barnhizer and, you know, some of those guys hit at the kind of, you know, level they were hitting last time. I mean, they were, 11 of 18 from the three-point line. I mean, shot 61% from three. That's going to lead to a lot of victories, Kyle. So when that game ended, like the Maryland game, I was I was sickening. It was just like, what did you think last night when that thing ended?
I was definitely disappointed. I think it's just when you're in such a back-and-forth, high-level game like that, and you got Marcus Damas coming down the floor with a chance to win in regulation, it's an emotional game as a fan. Like when it's just that high intensity, that when you come out on the losing side of it, I almost feel like that hurts more than a game where you just put a dud out, you know, and you're watching the downfall as it comes. Like I thought Illinois had so many chances to win that game, and so that was disappointing. There's a difference between being disappointed and like sounding the alarm about how sure, this team isn't, you know, there's some big problems here. That's not at all how I feel. I think that's just a game where Northwestern beat number 1 team in the country there. They've made shots at home all season. I don't think there's a ton of shame in losing that road game. That's not one that's going to sit as a black eye on your resume, but I was disappointed because that was a chance to pick up a rivalry road win, and with just how high intensity and how many chances Illinois had that they just missed, whether it was missed layups or whatever it was, like it did hurt to lose that. For me personally, those games hurt me more. The ones where you play well and you have so many chances, when you come up short, those hurt more than when you just don't show up. And
like
it's just
Maryland.
You're more angry after that. Like after the Maryland game, you're like, that's just a terrible performance. This one, it's more disappointment because I thought they had a great chance to pick up what would have been a really fun win, and they just blew a couple of them.
I'll tell you this, Pipes. If you're a Northwestern season ticket holder, you have already gotten your money worth. 92-88 overtime win over number 1 Purdue. 96-91 overtime win over what, number 10, 11, or whatever. 10th. I mean, you've already gotten your money's worth, and you still have a lot of home games left. Those are 2 really fun, high-level games that the Cats came out on top at home, and you'd have to think if you're a season ticket holder, you're walking out of that place just on cloud 9 after that, especially. And I wonder which win feels better. Upsetting number 1 Purdue, or is it you beat?
That's a good question.
You beat Illinois. So
because Illinois had beaten them 10 of the last 11 prior to last night.
I think it's probably this one.
It probably is.
They'd never admit that either, though.
No. Yeah, no. But yeah, I mean, come on. I looked at yours. I looked at your article yesterday, and the season series was like what, 144-46 or something. I mean, it's not like football. You know, I mean, this has just been an absolute onslaught from the get-go for Illinois over Northwestern, and I'm sure deep down when they can get that victory over the Orange, it's tastes a little bit better, even than upsetting number 1 Purdue. But I could be wrong.
Especially because their arena is half filled with Illinois fans.
You're right.
So the flip side of that is there's been enough times in Evanston where they've lost, and then the Illini fan base is cheering and parading around and heckling the Northwestern side for. And look, there have been a lot of close games in this series, even though it's very much one-sided historically for Illinois. Through the years, there's usually a lot of close battles, especially up there. But Illinois has gotten the better of them in a big way over Chris Collins and company. But, yeah, to follow up on what Kyle said, it's much more of a disappointing loss than it is a bad loss. It's not a bad loss. Like, that's a tournament team. They've beaten Purdue. They're undefeated at home in the Big Ten. Yes, they did lose to Chicago State in the non-con on their home floor. But, I mean, they smacked Michigan State there. They won a very hotly contested game against Maryland that went down to the wire when Bowie and Jameer Young were going back and forth. But I just – to look at it, and it's the way we're trying to frame this Illinois team in terms of, are they a legit Big Ten title contender, which I don't think last night's loss took you out of it, but it does create the separation where Illinois was keeping pace of being in that top group with Wisconsin and Purdue. Now, Purdue could take a loss that they would be unexpected for them, or Wisconsin could fall inevitably and lose one of these close games.
Yeah, right.
Which I said inevitably, but I should probably have said maybe.
Yeah, right.
But what I'm getting at is now you fall 2 games back to Wisconsin, game and a half behind Purdue in that sense. And this would have been a nice quad 1 win on your resume, although it's teetered but between quad 1, quad 2. Northwestern, until last night, was very firmly on the bubble. This one is going to put them in a really good spot. I just think defensively, as you look at it over the last month, Illinois has been pretty average.
Agree.
And they've had some issues with guards, with Young and Bowie, who are really good guards. But if you're thinking about the big picture and long term for Illinois, it's that you get in the tournament and could you get hurt by something like that, a backcourt matchup that, especially if they get switches onto Damask and Goody and those type of things, that could be a problem. Now, Shannon is obviously not himself.
Right.
I don't worry about him not getting back into a dominant form, even though it will be tough on the road because it's going to be a distraction in terms of what he faces with the crowds and all of that thing. So still think it's a very good team. But as Illinois is going in last night as a top 10 squad in the country, as they're talked about in the realm of are they a legit Final Four contender, those type of things, they could use some more meat on their resume in terms of like top-notch wins, which I'm not saying beating Northwestern is necessarily that, but it would have been a really nice win. And you could have said, all right, that's a place where Purdue didn't get one, but Illinois did. And like Kyle said, they had chances to get it done. Just defensively, they had so many mistakes and just didn't feel like they executed very well. And even the game plan stuff that Brad implemented, which I know was highly criticized as far as the switching and whatnot, they did not respond very well and let Bowie get what he wanted when he wanted far too many times.
I mean, there's one common denominator between the upset of Purdue and the upset of Illinois, and that's Bowie going off.
True.
And that's something he can do almost every game. And when he does that, especially at home, where, as Luke Goody just said, the rest of the team shoots better at home. So when you have Boo going off like he did against Purdue, like he did last night against Illinois, and then the rest of those guys are hitting shots, that's a recipe for some disaster play in Northwestern, and that's something that they can do on any given night, especially at Welsh Ryan. 2 things I want to kind of sift through with you today. I know we got some Brad Underwood we want to hear. Yesterday I brought this up with Corey Witt, who was here. I said, is there a comp in Illinois history for Coleman Hawkins? I want you to kind of think about that and kind of pick your mind. I know somebody said yesterday Jack Ingram, is more of a big guy that could step outside and shoot, but I just didn't, you didn't see enough volume out of Ingram necessarily. He was a huge, huge piece of that team. Don't get me wrong. But I'll ask you that because it almost got us thinking like he might be like someone that doesn't have a comp and kind of the first of his kind at Illinois with regards to his height, his ability to play defense, but also take you outside. He can facilitate. He can run a break. I mean, there's a lot of things he can do. He's the modern day NBA guy essentially. That's how they do it. So I want to ask you that. And then I thought later the 3 of us could go through the Big Ten schedule and just kind of see who's a pretender and who's a contender in terms of making the NCAA tournament, because this thing is becoming a muddled mess. I mean, Minnesota was like the guy that starts on the outside lane in the 800 or the 200 where he's got such a big lead, it looks like, but in theory you're all running the same. Or no, I'm sorry, it would be the guy on the inside. And then all of a sudden they just get passed because that's what they're doing right now. They're being Minnesota and they're going right to the bottom. But Iowa suffers a bad loss last night. Does Maryland have enough to climb up and get into a spot where they could possibly be in the tournament? I don't know. This doesn't look good for the Big Ten. We knew that going in. You talked about it one day about how many quad one wins can you actually get in this conference. So I'd kind of like for us to go through and just say, okay, is this team even able or will this team even be able to push for a spot in the NCAA tournament? So I think that'd be cool to kind of go through and look at these teams.
Sounds good to me. If you want to weigh in, you can. 217-359-2255. Hit us up with questions, comments from last night's thriller in overtime, although a frustrating result for the Illini as they fall 96-91. You can hit us on the Tapman's Towing phone line. You'd have to call us during the break, but the U of I Illini Link text line
I dare you.
to get your thoughts there as well. So a lot more to break down as far as last night's result, and we'll get to your questions and also talk some Coleman Hawkins and the rest of the Big Ten picture as well. Brad Underwood audio from last night too. So a lot to do. Stick with us. This is The Drive.
Illini fans, gear up to support your Fighting Illini men's and women's basketball team this year at the official fan store of the Fighting Illini, Game Day Spirit. From buy one, get one free basketball t-shirts to official NIL merchandise, Game Day Spirit has everything you need to support your Fighting Illini. Shop with them in store at the corner of Neal and Kirby in Champaign, 6th and Green in Campus Town, or online 24/7 at GameDaySpirit.com. Game Day Spirit, where Illini fans shop.
ILLINI. Cheer on the Illini and Pia's. The pregame fun starts at Pia's Sports Bar and Grill. Pia serves up its famous 10-ounce Slugger Burger along with great wings and so much more. Enjoy 350 22-ounce light and course light drafts every home and away Illini game. Watch the game at Pia's or ride the free shuttle to all home games. You'll find it all at Pia's with live video gaming, sports, food, drinks, and fun. See you at Pia's, West Springfield Avenue in Champaign.
Hi, I'm Tyler Weaver, president of Carpet Weavers Flooring and Furniture Gallery. It's time to come home to Carpet Weavers. We don't want you to just like your new floors. We want you to love them. From waterproof floors and carpet to furnitures and design advice, we've got a team of experts on your side. We'll get you the best price and the best quality products. And complete your home with furniture and accessories. Buy it all with free financing too. Come home to Carpet Weavers, where floors, furniture, and family meet.
This is a familiar sound in Illinois.
Cold snap grappling with heavy snowfall while bracing themselves for a significant winter storm.
The snow will come, but you need to go to work, to school, to the store, to care for family. When the weather's rough, you need a vehicle that's tough. Sarah of Champaign wants to put you in an Outback, Forester, Crosstrek, or Ascent. There are so many reasons why a Subaru SUV is the best vehicle to drive during winter months. Standard symmetrical all-wheel drive, vehicle dynamics control, 8.7 inches of ground clearance, and available X mode for when the snow is extra deep. That adds up to performance and safety. Don't wait for the next storm warning. If you have to get where you're going, no matter the weather, see the huge selection and great deals at Sarah Subaru today. Route 45 in Savoy, or online at sarahsubaruchampaign.com. You've heard about the doggy bag, right? From Bulldog Disposal Muhammad, a 6 cubic yard canvas bag that can be used for easy cleanup instead of a big dumpster. The one-time use bag is now available and you can save the delivery charge. Get the doggy bag at Do It Best Hardware in Champaign at 107 West Springfield. So fill up the bag, call Bulldog Disposal, have it disposed of, and you'll be organized. Go to bulldoggybag.com for all the details. That's bulldoggybag.com.
At Pards in Urbana, the boots just keep on coming. They're known for their huge collection of men's cowboy boots, women's cowgirl boots, kids' boots, and even shoes. If you're searching for top footwear brands, look no further than Pards. They carry a wide variety, including Ariat, Dan Post, Smoky Mountain, Roper, Double H, and more. And if socks or accessories are what you need, they've got all your high-quality essentials. Since 1968, Pards has been serving their customers with high-quality merchandise. And if you haven't been to Pards in a while, a lot has changed. Go check them out just off University Avenue in Urbana.
Jets is hiring. Call 217-352-9992 or stop into 1907 West Springfield Avenue near Round Barn in Champaign. Jets is open till 10 p.m., Fridays and Saturdays till midnight. Are you looking for a side hustle? Here's Josh from Jets talking about the benefits of doing deliveries.
When I was a delivery driver, it was amazing how much the actual amount of money I had just shot right up. You have money in your pocket every single day.
For details on joining the team, visit jetspizza.com. CarPrefu.com.
Hey, could you tell me what aisle your car batteries are in?
Sure, I'll go grab one for you. Here's your battery. It might be expired, but oh well. Also, the brand isn't that great, but it should work for at least a year or two, maybe. Anyways, I went ahead and charged you for it, and here's the battery. Okay, have a great day.
What just happened?
Sometimes good things are hard to find, but they're worth the wait. Make the trip out to Interstate All Battery Center at 2504 North Madison Avenue and get all of your battery needs taken care of by the trusted professionals. Give them a call today at 355-4855.
Really good college basketball game. I give Northwestern a lot of credit. I thought that, there's a substantial differential in their percentages at home and on the road. And, shooting the basketball, and there's a reason they've beaten who they've beaten at home. They're very good. We didn't, we gave ourselves an opportunity. We had the ball, and a shot to win it. And, it didn't go down. And then, we make a couple mistakes in, the first couple of possessions in overtime and on the defensive side, and they make you pay. So, yeah, really good basketball game. You're not going to, we're not going to win many games giving up 64% from the three-point line. We're not built that way. And I loved what we were doing in the first half. Forcing twos. I think they had 1-3 at half. And that's the difference in the game. And that's what our defense is built around. So give them credit. And we had a chance and didn't capitalize.
Back on the drive with Sam Piper, ESPN Radio 93.5. A lot still to hit on regarding Illinois' loss last night in Evanston. We've had plenty of texts that I want to get to. Also, on the note of the Coleman Hawkins comp, we got a pretty common answer coming in. I heard you guys talk about this yesterday.
Okay.
A lot of Cookie references.
Yeah.
Now with the 6'9", 6'10",
That's
stretch
true.
the floor ability, Cook had more strength to him. I mean, he was pretty slender still,
He was.
but he was listed, I see here, 235, 240. A little more weight to him than Coleman has, and better inside game.
Yes.
But, yeah, the ability to kind of play that high-low with Cook.
Yeah, that's it. I don't know why we didn't think of that yesterday, and we even brought up Brian Cook yesterday, but I didn't really think of that. I know Coleman plays the 5, Cook played more of the 4. That said, Coleman could easily be a 4, and Cook could have played a 5, and sometimes did. So, yeah, that's my bad, because that truly is the perfect comp. And, I mean, Brian Cook was one heck of a player. Wow. He was so good. Good call by everybody. Good call.
He says Brian Cook was about the same size, frame, and was a capable three-point shooter, but I feel like Coleman is a little better defender and ball handler.
Yeah, that'd be fair. Cook wasn't one that, could get up and down grab the ball. I mean, he could, but he wasn't comfortable doing that. He wanted to get the ball to somebody else and then go. Whereas Coleman, he loves that. He's like, give me the ball, I'm going, man. He gets a head of steam on him, and it's like, oh no, where's this going?
Right, yeah. No
But
doubt.
normally good this year. He's been a double-double of late every game. He's played really well. Really well.
You do have to then counter, Cook was a 20-8 guy.
Yeah.
His senior year in the Big Ten, and
he
was
was
a
a
first-round draft pick. So
He was
there
a
are some things that, yes, Coleman can do maybe more in terms of versatility, but Brian Cook, better, more productive player in college.
No, there's no doubt.
For sure.
What's Coleman's last 2 games, though? What was he last night, 22 and 13?
Coleman Hawkins finished with 22 and 13, yeah.
And then the game before,
he had a double-double against Michigan as well, yeah.
It was like 18 and 12 or something. So he's kind of putting up some Cook numbers lately. But, yeah, for overall, though, that's why he was playing for the Lakers. And hopefully we'll see Coleman Hawkins playing for someone in the NBA.
No
That'd
doubt.
be great.
No doubt. On the note of Coleman Hawkins, let's talk about some of the the coverages last night, the switching, the ball screen coverage. I do want to dive into this. It would be easier if I had the video up and can kind of break down, go like Mike LaTulip's film room as he does on Illini Inquirer. But I did think that it was problematic last night. I didn't like how in the first half Illinois sat in drop coverage, which usually you do when you have a plodding, slow-footed five-man, especially playing that far off. Like Coleman was so far down towards the Big Ten logo in drop coverage, which when Matthew Nicholson goes and sets the screen, so Coleman isn't following him up there to the top of the key where Bowie's playing off that screen. He's sitting back. And I know that the analytics say, okay, if Bowie takes a 15-foot jump shot or a runner from 15 feet or so, which he's done a handful of times, that's a shot you'll live with. I just think that for as mobile and long as Coleman is, a guy that you're comfortable switching onto an island with
Right.
Bowie, why would you not bring him up and at least show some help, cut off a driving lane, let your guy recover, and then play that role with Nicholson? So I thought that was something that Illinois let Bowie get too many open shots.
And Derek, especially coming off Maryland, where Jameer Young did that and just
Yeah.
tore you up with those little runners.
Yeah.
Did you not learn from that? I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, fool me once, but Boo and Jameer are similar guys, and I'm with you. The whole time I kept saying, why is Coleman
He was so far off?
It didn't make sense. And okay, I'll say this, and I'll give Coleman the benefit of the doubt here. And everybody knows I'm a Coleman. I mean, I kind of go on his side a lot, but I think it's obvious to me he was told not to do that.
Right.
Or otherwise, he would have been up there.
Yeah, I will say, again, like we don't know what the exact game plan was.
Right.
Like, what's the positioning? Where is he supposed to be? You would think that this coaching staff, if he was playing deeper than you would have wanted him to, that you could coach him up and say, all right, pull this above the free throw line. He was standing like Big Ten logo, sometimes even down by the by the cylinder, right below the rim. So I think that even as you look back, I went and rewatched all of Bowie's field goal attempts last night.
He had a lot of them.
And in the first half, but also his first three in overtime. I know Justin Harmon goes under the screen, but Coleman is down by the Big Ten logo,
Yes.
like 10, 15 feet away from him, and Nicholson setting the screen. And it's like, also, people have rightfully questioned, why did Illinois maybe not trap off of some of those ball screens with Nicholson? Because that's what Loyola did to Io, where it's like, okay, you want to throw out of the double team, throw it to the wide open guy, Kofi, who's sitting right at the 3-point line or the free throw line, and a big man that doesn't shoot, doesn't dribble. You could, and again,
well, he hurt you early.
Yeah, Nicholson and some of the lobs.
So did that kind of lead to that, do you think? I mean, he had some dunks early, and he was effective early, and I wonder if Illinois said, okay, well, we don't want that to continue, so we got to start doing something different. I'd rather him beat me than Boo Boo.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that was problematic in the first half. And then down the stretch, I know someone weighed in and said it took Boo Booey 25 shots to score 29 points, which is accurate, but it was really the crunch time points that killed you. From the under 8 timeout in the second half through the end of the game, he scored 15 points, shot 50% from the field during that stretch, had a handful of assists as well. And they were hunting the matchups of trying to, Illinois does the same thing, trying to get matchups for Marcus Damask, and also Penn State did this to Illinois last year. They bring a little rub screen not with their center, but they were doing it with Ryan Langborg and using some of their guards to let's find where Marcus Damask is, let's find where Luke Goody is, have them create a little rub where they're going to run across the face of Bowie, and there's going to be a switch. But a lot of times it wasn't actually a screen.
Yes.
Now, if you get screened, then you probably want to switch, because if you caught up in a screen, you're giving up an angle on a drive. If you're just running past somebody, that seems like something where Terrence could just step up and get into Bowie and refuse to be screened, refuse the rub and whatnot. But I thought that was a bad execution. Not necessarily that the game plan was bad. The switching was a bad tactic. I just think there needs to be some nuance in there, some selectivity to say we don't have to switch this.
Mm-hmm.
So some of that's on the players, but obviously you got to prepare for it in practice too, to be able to implement that when you get out there in the game. Just too many times Boo Buie got what he wanted. Either the floater game that was open in the first half or in the second half into overtime, the switches that they were really desiring as well. Luke spoke to as well. They were doing some good stuff off the ball to put Illinois in a bind. Illinois' defense got put in a blender last night, so that was tough.
I have a thought on that high screen. You got 12 guys on your team, right? You can have 12. How about you get Caden Fagan, and he starts and he guards like a guy like Boo Buie, and the first time they set a high screen, Caden Fagan takes Nicholson and runs him about 8 feet. I guarantee you Nicholson's not going to want to set many screens after that. That's the thought. Hey, can I say that? I'm being funny, by the way. I'm trying to be funny. I'm never funny. Here, tell me this doesn't encapsulate? Is that the right word? This is why I love sports, and this is why I love doing this sports show, and I think anybody out there listening could do this show, right? I'm not going to say the names, but here's two texts. One of them just two texts within a matter of 2 minutes. Number one, here's another thought. Why did Ty Rodgers ride the bench almost the entire second half? 2 minutes later, a text from a different person. Why does Rodgers play? He isn't stopping any lead guards. He can't shoot. He gets almost 0 assists. And then he said Underwood doesn't trap. He thinks it's cheating. That's kind of funny. Now, I'm not saying names. Both of these texters are common texters to our show, and they have great ideas all the time. But isn't that funny how one person can watch a game and have an immediate, like Derek, you and I could watch a game and I could think something completely different from you. And you could be sitting there going, why is Ty Rodgers on the bench? We need him out here. And I could be sitting over here going, why is he out there? I mean, isn't that funny? I mean, that just describes a fan to a T. And I'm the same way. I'm not calling these guys out. I'm the same way when it comes to that. And Ty is kind of a polarizing guy right now.
He is.
Especially with Shannon back.
And his minutes have definitely been cut into. We talked about who was going to be the most impacted by Shannon's return, and Ty played, I think, 14 minutes against Rutgers and 16 minutes last night. I think it was only 5 after halftime.
Wow. And it almost started in that game against Purdue.
Yeah.
Right. Where they kind of sniffed out the whatever I'm trying to say. They sniffed out the way to attack Illinois, and on defense, and then I don't know. But then he came back against Rutgers, was it? No.
Michigan State.
Michigan State. He came back
Tax
and was
Sissoko and Carson Cooper
was amazing. So
Sure, a very formidable 5 duo, but still, he did do well.
I had Maddie is my number one sub, and we had to play him because Ware didn't play the other day. I'm like, Maddie, just don't foul out. So he got me 2 points, 4 fouls. So he didn't foul out. I'm like, can I get more than 2 points out of you, dude? He is just somebody that's never really impressed me.
No. On the note of Ty Rodgers, though, it is interesting. You look on paper, and in 16 minutes, 6 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists. It's pretty good production. Had 3 offensive boards with Illinois on the whole, had 21 offensive rebounds last night. So that was a huge boost on a night when you didn't shoot that well, particularly in the first half, and being able to get those second chance opportunities. I think with Ty, something that Northwestern did this game that they didn't do last game was use Nicholson to guard him, which they didn't do that last game. In Champaign, they had Nicholson and their other 5s try to check Coleman, and that created the spacing that Illinois wants, that allowed Coleman to shoot some threes. And Brad kind of commented on that afterwards. I don't know his exact line. We'll play Brad Underwood's postgame as we go along here, but he was asked about why did Ty Rodgers not really play? Why'd you ride with Harmon more than him? And we wanted to have Nicholson guard somebody else, which for a good amount of the time, it seemed like Nicholson was defending Quincy, and Quincy got some real open looks from 3 that he made them pay for at times. He went 3 for 6 last night from beyond the arc, but I do think from a defensive standpoint, although Ty seems to get hung up on some screens maybe a little bit too much at the defensive end, and there were times too when he attacked Nicholson, and then that was just kind of a losing battle because he's so huge. He was just pretty much shooting the ball into his hands, where he's playing straight up and whatnot. So, but Justin Harmon played last night, and outside of his runner in the lane, that was a really clutch shot, and thought maybe it'd be the game-deciding basket. Didn't do a whole lot in his 28 minutes.
He didn't, and that's surprising of late because he's been pretty effective for Illinois of late. So that was a little bit surprising. I almost felt like when Shannon was out, Harmon took advantage, right? He was the guy that really took advantage of that to get more minutes. He was more confident, it seemed like. He was knocking down threes. And now with Shannon back, now all of a sudden you're playing into the thought of Ty gets less minutes. But like Austin said, hey, no three-point threat allows him to sag a defender to take away DeMass booty ball. And he's right.
It's true.
And that's what we saw against Purdue. And now probably the blueprint that a lot of teams, you'd be silly not to do that if Ty is in the game. But I feel like, Luke Goody's minutes have been affected. Ty Rodgers' minutes have been affected. But I don't know Ty's minutes have been affected because of Shannon. Goody and Harmon's have. Now, I'm not saying that's good or bad. I'm glad Terrence Shannon's on this team, and I think those two would admit the same thing. But maybe it takes a little time for these guys to adjust back to that. It's not just Shannon that's adjusting. It's everybody else adjusting to him back on the team, and maybe for a guy like Harmon. But, again, Justin Harmon's been really good this year. He's been really good. He's been a lot better than I thought he was going to be. So he just kind of had an off night last night. Not even an off night. He just didn't do much.
Didn't do much. Kyle, what do you think about the Ty Rodgers cutting into some of his minutes? Because Harmon plays 28, Goody plays 21, Ty plays 16.
To me, I don't have much of a problem with it because at the end of the day, Illinois is a far better offensive team when Ty isn't on the court. It's not. I'm not trying to rag on him as a player. It's just, he limits your offense because he gives you a complete non-shooting threat. And I thought Illinois was generating really good offense in the second half. That wasn't their problem. I liked the looks they were getting, and I thought him not being out there allowed them to get some big threes and get to the basket. And like someone on the text line said, him not being out there does open up the floor for Damask to get to his spot and not have the lane clog up and not have a help defender be able to sag off a Ty. And then when he's looking to kick it into that weak side corner, well, if that's Ty Rodgers there, then all of a sudden, he's not going to shoot. So
yep.
I think there was maybe an opportunity to sprinkle him back in the second half when Bowie was going off just to throw somebody different at him. Then again, they were switching everything, so is that going to make much of a difference? Anyway, they're still going to get the matchup they wanted. I had no issue with Ty sitting. I thought the offense just looks better with him not on the court. And that's just the way it is. That's how I see it.
Yep.
Has the Dane should play more camp? Is that campaign over?
I still see it from people. I just don't get it. I couldn't disagree with it more, but
yeah. We did get a really good text in that we can get to next hour, and it's about Brad Underwood and his coaching style. And it'd be something to bring up.
Sure.
And I know I'd like to hear from Brad as well. I know we'll get to that. He wasn't really in a big talkative mood after that game, was he?
He wasn't, and there weren't a lot of questions fired off either. I get it. It was one of those where admittedly you're in there and there's no huge grand takeaway.
There's no storyline.
It's a really good game.
Right.
That Illinois lost. And yes, defensively they struggled, which he admitted to. He took blame for some of the game plan stuff defensively. And he did not want to get into the Shannon chance.
Yep. Oh, no.
At all. And I don't think he will comment on that at all. I want to get your guys' thoughts on that as well before we get out of here.
I haven't done television now in 20-some years, right? I still, when a game ends, I'm still in my mind as what was the storyline of that game. Because that's how you worked in TV, and that's how you work. That's how in the media we work. And a lot of times, there's a storyline. There's a clear storyline. Last night, I don't know what I would have asked Brad Underwood in that thing. I probably would have been like, Brad, that was a hell of a game, like I did with Luke Goody. I don't know. There's no storyline. I was impressed with both teams, and unfortunately, Illinois came up on the wrong end.
Yeah.
You're going to lose some.
You will. You will, for sure. Continue to weigh in on the U of I Atlanta Link text line, 217-359-2255. We'll talk more about this game and hear from Brad Underwood before we get out of here. This is The Drive.
You're listening to WSJK ESPN 93.5 Tuscola, Champaign-Urbana, your home for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Trump takes takes the stand. Lisa Brady, Fox News. The former president still denies writer E. Jean Carroll's claims in a second civil defamation trial, but the judge only allowed brief testimony in his defense.
A previous jury last May found that the former president is liable for having sexually assaulted Miss Carroll in the dressing room of a department store here in New York City back in 1996, and it also found that he had defamed her, so he cannot relitigate the facts of the accusation.
Fox's Eric Shawn, under questioning from his attorney, Trump said he stands by a deposition from 2022 when he called Carroll's claims a hoax. Closing arguments in this trial for damages are set for tomorrow. President Biden visits Wisconsin to say his economic plan is working while unveiling $1 billion in spending to rebuild a bridge between Superior, Wisconsin and Duluth, Minnesota.
The president also unveiling almost $4 billion more in spending in dozens of other projects across the country, all part of the bipartisan infrastructure bill.
We're investing in America, in jobs for American workers, built with American products.
The stop as the White House and President Biden's campaign look to recapture support in Democratic stronghold communities like Superior and Duluth ahead of the 2024 general election.
Fox's Jeff Manasso. Transgender veterans are suing the VA over delays in gender-affirming care.
The lawsuit is aimed at forcing the Veterans Administration to include gender-affirming surgeries years after the VA secretary announced it would expand its policy. But even then, Secretary Dennis McDonough warned of a rigorous process to ensure health standards were met. The VA covers some transgender care for veterans, but not transition surgery. President Biden reversed a ban on transgender military members openly serving, and gender-affirming surgery is covered for active duty personnel.
Fox's Jared Halpern. America is listening to Fox News.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The patented key ingredient is something called Testofen, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again, at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text ALL to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast, absolutely free. Text ALL to 321-321. That's ALL to 321-321.
A death row inmate scheduled to die tonight in Alabama is making a last appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court. Kenneth Smith was convicted of killing a pastor's wife in a murder-for-hire plot in 1988. His attorneys have tried unsuccessfully to challenge the method of execution using nitrogen gas, a first in the U.S., after a previous attempt to kill him by lethal injection failed in 2022 because of trouble with an IV line. A man accused of stalking Taylor Swift is arrested again less than an hour after leaving a New York City courtroom.
33-year-old David Crow was taken into custody when he was spotted going through a dumpster across the street from Swift's Tribeca apartment. Prosecutors say Crow had staked out Swift's apartment 30 times over the past 2 months. On Monday, he was spotted near her apartment and charged with stalking in the 4th degree, a misdemeanor, and 2 counts of harassment. However, criminal defense attorney Jason Goldman said New York's felony stalking laws require showing repetitive convictions or use of a weapon.
Fox's Michelle Polino. This was Crow's 3rd arrest in 5 days near Swift's home. There's controversy after a historic beauty pageant win.
A new Miss Japan's been crowned and a new debate sparked over selection of 26-year-old Carolina Shiino, who has zero ethnic connection to Japan, where she's lived since she was 5. Shiino, a naturalized citizen born to Ukrainian parents, said she was grateful to be recognized as Japanese. Also that she aims to create a society where people aren't judged by appearance. Some criticizing the choice of a Caucasian-looking woman as the most beautiful Japanese, saying it sends the wrong message. Others calling the decision political, saying if Shiino were born Russian, she wouldn't have won. But defenders say she has the right to represent the country she belongs to.
Fox's Lillian Wu. There was a late rally on Wall Street. The Dow up 242 points. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News.
Hello again, everyone. Let's check weather for Central Illinois, Champaign-Urbana vicinity. Next in a series of these weather systems out of the southern plains up the Ohio to generate more rain this afternoon. Until then, low clouds, areas of fog, dense fog at that. Little drizzle around this morning. And again, some steadier rains working in this afternoon. But mild for the time of year. Up around 45, 46 degrees with a northeast to north wind on the light side, shifting northwest. For tonight, some rain lingers early on. Cloudy skies, patchy fog, low down to 36. Light northwest to west wind for the day tomorrow. Cloudy. Again, some patchy fog and drizzle early in the day. Highs up to 43 degrees. A little more rain back in the forecast here Saturday afternoon, Saturday night. Highs up to 42 there. Maybe a snowflake here in the air. Sunday morning, mostly cloudy, breezy, and 41. Pleasant weather ahead for next week with mild Pacific air into position. Daytime temperatures 10, almost 15 degrees above average at 43 on Monday. Lower 40s Tuesday and Wednesday. Mid and upper 40s next Thursday and Friday. For Stevie J Broadcasting, I'm Peter Olchis, Greg Solgay.
I'm getting a job with the Big Ten Network.
Apparently, yeah.
I think I'd be fun as an analyst.
I think you'd be hilarious.
I suck play-by-play. I've tried it my whole life, and not my whole life, but I was horrible at it. I just went out and got us some candy canes.
Appreciate it.
It's a public notice that we say every year that if you have any candy canes laying around your house still, we will accept those here at the radio station.
No doubt.
So bring those by. We're right across from the Philo Tavern.
They are a great in-between break snack.
I agree.
Now, you have the ability to still have it in your mouth while commentating. I avoid that at all costs.
I've got like chipmunk cheeks, I guess.
Yeah.
I can just kind of hide candy in one spot and talk.
I'm like crunching it down. If I have any left in my mouth and like we're coming back in with, I hear the music, I'm like chomping it down to like get this.
Can we give a shout out to Bill from Troy?
This is a great text. Because it's a funny text, a comical text.
And let's be honest, and I think Bill would understand this, 95% of his texts are just filled with angst. He's mad at, don't even get him going on the NFL. That's just, don't even, but a lot of times he's just not happy when he texts. But this, I'm going to let you read it. It is a really good text.
He goes, Brad, how do you give up 20 points in a 5-minute overtime without playing Make It Take It? It's pretty funny.
Okay, the elephant in the room was Robbie Hummel. So I listened to Brian Barnhart and that crew the second half. Was Robbie Hummel that bad last night?
I haven't heard it, so we're gonna have to lean on Kyle here.
Does he hate Illinois?
See, I haven't thought that. There were some people that were saying like, oh, this is Robbie always hates Illinois or whatever.
Well, my son says
I haven't noticed it until last night when I felt like there was definitely an anti-Illinois and especially an anti-Coleman Hawkins agenda that he had during the broadcast last night. He kept getting on Coleman. Anytime Coleman would show any emotion, he would like go off on him about how he needs to keep it together. And he vehemently disagreed with the flagrant foul call on Terrence Shannon that gets hit in the face. I think Illinois fans are like, how could you possibly disagree with that one? I don't know. I thought he was pretty anti-Illinois.
I mean, it was one of those. It looked like he was going for the ball, but he definitely clubbed him in the face, right?
Correct.
Is that
yes?
Okay. Which by the rule, usually contact to the head like that. Similar to in football, even
exactly.
You're not judging intent. You're usually just judging the contact.
Well, I'm sure half the time a face mask is accidental.
Of course.
But, you're literally trying to tackle a guy that's weaving and dodging and ducking and accidentally you get a finger on a face mask and you didn't mean to do it, but it's 15-yard
Unless
personal
it's Myles
foul.
Garrett.
Right.
That's two Myles Garrett references in the same.
You're trying to do like
episode.
Salem's Lot or whatever when they're or
Goody
the
was one of
Exorcist.
them, by the way.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
I don't. Well, look, Illinois didn't recruit Hummel back in the day.
I think there's some of that underlying. I love Robbie Hummel on broadcasts. I didn't admittedly go back and listen to. I mentioned I watched some of Bowie's shots. I didn't listen to his commentary.
Except that he sounds just like Billis.
You think so?
Yeah, it's almost like when Kobe was doing Jordan things. And now I respected Kobe when it was all said and done, but like early on, I'm like, dude, quit putting your tongue out, quit doing the.
Do you think he's going to stand? Like Billis really got into the war against the NCAA.
No. I don't mean on that front. I mean just sounding like him.
Gotcha.
Like
right.
his delivery and everything is Jay Billis. It is funny though. My oldest son, his text last night was just a rip on Robbie Hummel, and he's said it all year. I mean, he does not like him, and I don't know that Illinois didn't recruit Robbie Hummel, but his grandparents played tennis here, and he ended up at Purdue. And I think Illinois, we were talking about this earlier, I think Illinois made more of an effort to recruit Bill Cole, and we know how that turned out.
Poorly.
So I don't.
I don't think Robbie got an offer from Illinois.
Okay.
So, I do want to ask you guys because there was a lot of social media dialogue. Now, some of it was obvious. We're sitting up in the second level at Northwestern. Now, I know it's a super sectional arena, so it's not like you're
7,000 strong.
Yeah, it's not, Indiana, you're like 70 rows up underneath the overhang, and it's hard to see. So the calls last night, like I know that I'd seen that Robbie disagreed with the notion that Coleman got all ball on that swipe, which it looked like, from what I could tell, shouldn't have been a foul.
Right.
What did you guys make of the officiating? Was it that one-sided as you guys got the ability to watch replays and those type of things?
I'm deferring, Kyle, to you because, again, Andrew had a game last night, and I listened to the second half on radio, which was awesome. I love Brian and those guys, but I'm going to defer to Kyle.
I don't know if it was totally one-sided. I thought it was pretty poorly officiated in general. I thought there were some I just like Illinois, with as much as they got to the basket, I thought they got hammered on some drives that just never got called. And then there were the obvious ones, like where I think Coleman blocked Nicholson and they called a foul. I'm trying to remember the play, but there was like a clear replay, and that was another Hummel thing where like Coleman got all ball on the block, and Hummel was like, "How are you complaining about that, Coleman? You got his hand or whatever," and it's like ridiculous. So I don't know. There were a couple calls that stood out, but I just thought I didn't think it was the best officiated game I've seen.
You just don't like Kelly Pfeiffer.
No, I don't.
I don't either.
I really
don't. Anybody?
Isn't he like an attorney? No, he's not an attorney.
No, well, it's Scarrato.
Oh, yeah.
That's the former chief, police chief down in Florida somewhere?
I think you're right.
He got
Pfeiffer's
fired.
like from Iowa or something.
He looks like Steve Carell in Anchorman without the glasses, kind of.
I saw his story. I YouTubed, I don't know when it was. He made a horrible call against Illinois years ago. Or not years. He's not that old, but I YouTubed him or I Googled him, and it brought up a YouTube story that they followed him to a game, like did a story behind the scenes, and he seemed like a decent guy, but yeah.
I'm sure that these guys probably are.
Oh,
but,
I'm sure they are.
Although he did give the Trent Frazier "that's cash" technical.
Oh, that's what it was.
At Indiana.
It was after that. That's exactly when I Googled him, and I was like, what's the story on Kelly Pfeiffer? I'm like, come on.
Did he also give Coleman the technical for flexing on Trace last year in Bloomington?
He might have been the one that did that as well. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Good call.
Does anyone else think that Justin Harmon looks like Cuba Gooding Jr.? All I know is that the Cardinals football team only won when Cuba Gooding Jr. was on there. Show me the money. Was that him?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. That's a good one, Ryan.
There was just some interesting situations as far as officiating last night. I remember back in, I'm sounding like I'm about to go, back in my day.
You're doing Lante here.
Yeah, but the timeout, I think it was Langborg that got it before he went out of bounds.
Yes.
And they took out the rule. You used to be able to jump in the air and call the timeout, which then, of course, you're playing middle school basketball, and you just purposely do it. The ball is easily. That's kind of like what Cubs fans would say about Jim Edmonds. You slow up and then you dive.
Shockingly, Illinois didn't get screwed in an NCAA tournament for them to change that
rule.
Call. That's the only one.
There was that one. Then there was was going to be a travel, but then They huddled up and said inadvertent whistle, which really it was just one ref thought it was a travel and the other one was like, no, actually the ball got knocked out of his hands.
Right.
I will say when they replayed that, he did not travel.
Right. It shouldn't have been a travel, but.
Yeah, that's what Kyler just mentioned. Man, we're getting a lot of text today. Getting a lot of text. Okay, real quick. Can we go over the Big Ten schedule or the Big Ten teams? And you tell me, like, I literally at this point right now, 5 teams are in the NCAA tournament. That's it. Wisconsin, Purdue, Illinois, those are no-brainers.
Yep.
Well, I'm sorry, 4 teams right now in my mind. Now,
Michigan State.
Well,
you're only putting 4 in the field at all?
Right now.
Okay.
I'm putting Northwestern, who's 4th right now because of the win last night over Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have Nebraska, who's 15-5. Now, they've got a couple of nice wins. Are they truly an NCAA tournament team? Now, I understand there's a lot of work still to be done.
Right.
But if it's stopped right here, like I'm anxious to know, like, bracketology, how many Big Ten. I know Northwestern was a bubble team going into the game last night. They were like a play-in game in Dayton. I mean, so Indiana?
No
chance.
Their net ranking right now, they're 100.
Kyle like runs to the microphone.
I got to uphold my Indiana take. That's like my one good preseason
He
take.
can be
you
3
know?
feet away typing, and he's like, no! He runs over.
I got to get my Indiana hate in.
Now, I could see Nebraska making it.
Right now, Lenardi has them. Now, this was a few days ago, the last update. He has them as a 9 seed. He has them in.
Okay.
He has 6 Big Ten teams in.
So he's got Michigan State, doesn't he?
He has Michigan State as well.
Okay,
Yep.
who's 12-7. And they've played a lot better, admittedly. They had a stretch early where they weren't. But like Maryland, Ohio State, Minnesota, Iowa, Penn State, Rutgers, Michigan, no chance. What's the story on Michigan's portal guys? Somebody asked that early in the
That's
show.
on the football side. Since Jim Harbaugh, which
oh.
I'm sure everybody has heard, is taking the Chargers job. I haven't followed like how many and who is hitting the portal, but I know that there are stories out there of
I'm sorry, I thought
a number of Michigan guys going into the portal. It allows them, I think they have a month. Is that what
it is?
The rule is
I
if
think
there's a
so.
coaching change? Which if you're them, why wouldn't you? Like in the meantime, I'm not saying that why wouldn't you automatically leave if Harbaugh leaves. Why,
Right.
But you could give yourself flexibility to wait and see what Michigan does. And
Right,
while they're
right.
going through the process, you could talk to other
Because it's you
schools.
against the world, Derek.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, you can't go play for the world.
Even more
when it's
so
you
now.
against the world.
Even more so now, they're going to hire Sharon Moore, who was crying and
We love you, Jim.
He's going to be crying more if they lose half their roster.
Jim, we love you, and then I'm going to F-bomb 3 times on national TV.
You know who's the happiest man on earth today or after last night?
Anybody that has to cover a Michigan postgame?
Yeah. Ryan Day.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. With his fake beard.
That's right. There we go.
Or his colored beard or whatever it is. Yeah, no, you're right. I didn't even think of that last night. This would have been the perfect time for Harrison Jr. to come back and Ohio State to
Ohio State did get a ton of guys back.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah. Like that would have been NFL picks. Just not Harrison.
Can you imagine having a team that just had like what Illinois had a couple of years ago where they had all those draft picks? Can you imagine that every year?
No.
Just every year you've got a first rounder, a second rounder, a couple of fourth rounders, a sixth rounder. I mean, it's just I can't imagine that. That's crazy. That's crazy. All right, well, listen, we went through the Big Ten, and you guys answered my comp on Coleman, so I'm out of here.
All right, see you later. Have a good one. But yes, to circle back to Indiana real quick, I do want to mention we'll, of course, talk more about the Hoosiers tomorrow as we gear up for Illinois and Indiana tip here in Champaign on Saturday. But they are 100th in the net, so by the resume, not saying that Illinois should absolutely win that game, will be pretty significantly favored to do so, but as far as your resume goes, that would be a worse loss than losing at home to Maryland. And I know that's maybe not saying a whole lot in terms of like, oh, yeah, well, Maryland seems better, but that'd be a quad 3 loss. That would be another really ugly loss if you were to.
Wait, what game?
Indiana would be a really
sorry.
bad loss on your resume if you took that. I'm not saying that Illinois will.
Transparency,
expect them to
I was
win.
reading the text.
Well, you had already checked out. You already
Well, right.
You already left.
I was on my
You're
way out, and
you're
I was
the
like,
door.
wait a minute, what'd Piper say? Yeah, okay.
I wonder
you
what-
cannot lose to Indiana Saturday.
Yeah, Nebraska coming up. Let's see where they still go as far as big games.
I wonder if Ware is playing Saturday. He didn't play the last game for Indiana.
He did not.
He's a first-rounder. NBA.
Yeah. He's having a really good season.
Mm-hmm.
Warner mentioned today when we did our podcast that the Jeff Rabjohns from Peegs, Indiana's 24/7, said that he thinks that Ware's going to play. So just take that for what it's worth. But Nebraska still has opportunities. They got at Maryland this Saturday. Then they have Wisconsin at home, at Illinois, at Northwestern. 3 of those 4 are quad 1 games.
Ooh.
Tough stretch, but chance to really build that resume up.
Wisconsin at home and then
at Illinois, at Northwestern.
They could easily go 0-3 in that.
Yeah, and
I don't think they've won a Big Ten road game yet.
They have not.
You know why? Because Max Klesmit will be all over Tominaga, and he will somehow score 38 points. And it's like, who the hell is Max Klesmit? Where do they get these guys from? Like Fond du Lac, Wisconsin?
Well, he was I think he's originally from,
like some
Wisconsin.
dudes out baling hay and like fishing for trout, and they're like, hey, come here a second. Have you ever touched a basketball? No. Take this and shoot it at that circle 22 feet away. And naturally, in his fishing boots and everything, they nail it. And they're like, come on.
He's from Neenah, Wisconsin.
There you go. That's right next to Fond du Lac.
Transfer from Wofford, and I didn't make up Neenah either. That's a real place.
I don't know why. Why is Wisconsin so good in everything? The state. Green Bay Packers had an unbelievable season.
Milwaukee Bucks won a title.
The Bucks just lost their coach, right?
But they're getting Doc Rivers.
Not for a lack of winning.
Yeah, they're 30 and 14 or something like that?
Yeah, okay. Well, then you can tell I follow the NBA because I assumed with them losing their coach, they were having a bad season. But
Brewers have been
not.
a little down.
Yeah, they've been a little down, but they've won a couple divisions, right, lately?
Yeah.
Wisconsin football always wins more than they lose. Wisconsin basketball. Again, like, if you are 30 and under, like if you're you, Piper, you have no idea how bad Wisconsin athletics was.
I have zero recollection of that.
Brutal back in the day. Brutal. And now it's like everything that happens to a Wisconsin team. I read today that Minnesota, I think ESPN had this, the state of Minnesota is the 42 years without a title in all sports. Vikings, the Wild, what else?
Twins.
Timberwolves, Twins. The Twins won the last title was the World Series by the Twins. And they're like 10 years. They're 42. Arizona, shocking, is 32. Well, you're not getting any help from the football team. I can tell you that. You better get the D-backs to win another title.
They were close.
They were. But like even Arizona, have they not won a national title, the Wildcats?
I think they did.
Didn't they with Stoudemire and has that been 32 years ago? Please tell me that hasn't been 32 years ago that Damon Stoudemire.
1997.
Yeah, Lute Olson definitely had one in there.
97. So how many years is that?
That would be
27 now.
Well, maybe they're talking. They must have
been
talking professional only. That's my
the
bad.
Suns were in the finals a few years ago, lost to the Bucks. The Suns haven't won a title in their franchise history.
Wow. And we know the Cardinals haven't. The Diamondbacks with Steve Finley, right? I'm sorry, Luis Gonzalez.
Well, Steve Finley was on that team,
Yeah,
too.
he was, the old Saluki. Louis Gonzalez with the single to left field off.
It's a really good team.
And
Randy Johnson, Kurt Schilling.
Then I walked into the Super Bowl with Gonzalez.
That's right.
Yeah, we're buddies now. He's kind of like Ray King.
Yeah.
Remember when we had Ray King on, and he's like, yeah, I'm living in Arizona. If you're ever out here, let's have a beer. And I'm like, seriously? Because I'm going to be out there like next week. For some reason, I didn't get a hold of Ray King.
Oh, man. Missed opportunity.
Yeah, I'm going to get I know.
Scott says, I wonder what the odds would be on how many Big Ten teams get out of the true first weekend. Let's try to set that line.
Okay.
As of right now.
The line
got to be 1.5, right? Because you're assuming Purdue. And then do you have confidence another one's going to get there?
Anyone other than that?
I mean,
I would say I would take over.
I'm not that confident that Wisconsin's game is going to
You would have either Illinois or Wisconsin. And just the off chance that Izzo does it again.
State, yeah. I mean, maybe 2.5.
They can play it.
2.5, then that's a different story.
Yeah.
Probably play under then.
If you could play at Kohl Center, they'd be in the Final Four. They don't miss there with the Wilson Bowl.
Would you guys take over on 1.5?
I think I'd take over, assuming I think Purdue gets there and one of Michigan State, Illinois, Wisconsin will find their way there.
Gosh, you guys really are that high on Michigan State?
It's just they're
one
gonna,
of.
One
yeah,
of.
I know.
I don't think they're good, but then again, they're going to get in as a 7 seed again,
and they'll get
it's the same story as last year where they weren't very good, and then they beat Marquette.
They'll beat number 10
chance.
seed USC, and then they'll upset the 2.
They'd be easily number 3 in terms of confidence between Illinois, Wisconsin, and them. But I just would bake that into me taking the over, and that it might happen.
Yep.
Yeah, that is a sad number though for a conference. 1.5 to get to the Sweet 16.
It's bad. I mean, it was. I pulled that box score up for Illinois today, and I started looking at the standings, and I'm like, ugh. It's ugly. It's ugly. What am I still doing here?
Don't know, but we are going to play some Brad Underwood to get his reaction after last night's loss to the Northwestern Wildcats, 96-91. We'll do that when we come back. Continue to weigh in, 217-359-2255 on the U of I Atlanta Link text line. This is The Drive.
I'm Dr. Jaya Wadawan, and I'm a pediatrician with OSF Healthcare. RSV is respiratory syncytial virus, and it's very common in pediatric patients, especially in the age group of less than 2 years old. In RSV, some symptoms to watch for is fever, cough, wheezing, any difficulty breathing, decrease in appetite. So with COVID and RSV, it's difficult to differentiate the symptoms and the presentation of each. The best thing to do is go to your provider and get a swab for both COVID and RSV. Older people can get it. It presents more of an upper respiratory infection. However, in the pediatric population, it presents more in the lower respiratory tract, which causes more of severe symptoms. Treatment includes supportive care for fever, so that includes Motrin and Tylenol. And if they need further respiratory support, that would include some oxygen support and nebulization. Visit the website osfhealthcare.org.
Since Busey Bank first opened our doors in 1868, we have built upon a tradition of close relationships and broad financial capabilities. Our experienced team provides the highest level of personalized service to ensure we accomplish your goals, simplifying your wealth management and business lending needs and ensuring a legacy for generations. Building business, growing wealth since 1868. Proud to be the official bank of the Fighting Illini. Member FDIC.
Are you tired of shivering in the winter? Look no further than your local heroes at ABC Heating and Air Conditioning. Hi, this is Gina inviting you to give us a call at 217-352-5400 to book your appointment to make sure your furnaces run safely and efficiently this winter. We've been proudly locally owned and operated and have been serving our community for over 50 years. ABC, always be comfortable. Call me 217-352-5400 to book your appointment today or go to abcheatingandac.com.
Hi, I'm Tyler Weaver, president of Carpet Weaver's Flooring and Furniture Gallery. Take a look around your home. Is it finally ready for some much-needed updates? If you don't know where to start, then just meet with one of our experts. We'll help you find the perfect waterproof plank floor for your kitchen or that stain-resistant, super soft carpet for your bedroom. Finish your room update with a custom sofa and chairs, or choose a trendy in-stock dining set that's priced right. Come home to Carpet Weavers, where floors, furniture, and family meet.
Have you ever wondered why you pay your bank to have a checking account with them? We do too. At Fisher National Bank, we offer free checking accounts that reward you to bank with us. Our Rewards Cashback Checking offers 2.02% cash back on debit card purchases up to $500 monthly. No service fees or balance requirements needed to earn rewards. For a free checking account that pays you back, simply make 12 debit card purchases, receive electronic statements, and have one direct deposit within a monthly cycle. It's so simple. We bet you're doing most of these things already. With Rewards Cashback Checking, you have access to Reward Saver, which earns 4.07 annual percentage yield on balances up to $20,000. Reward yourself with free rewards cashback checking and Reward Saver. A few of the many ways Fisher National Bank invests in our customers. See monthly requirements at any branch or FisherNational.com. Fisher National Bank. Exceptional communities, exceptional people. Member FDIC.
Hi, this is Chris Jackson with Kramer Siding and Window. And whatever your project, you can count on Kramer Siding to offer you the best products backed by the best warranties in the business and a lifetime of great customer service. And right now, you can save 10% on roofing, sunrooms, and decks, get 15% off gutter helmet, and you can save 25% on preservation siding, windows, and doors. So call today or visit us at kramersiding.com and let's get started on your project.
ILLINI. Cheer on the Illini and Pia's. The pregame fun starts at Pia's Sports Bar and Grill. Pia serves up its famous 10-ounce Slugger Burger along with great wings and so much more. Enjoy 350 22-ounce light and Coors Light drafts every home and away Illini game. Watch the game at Pia's or ride the free shuttle to all home games. You'll find it all at Pia's with live video gaming, sports, food, drinks, and fun. See you at Pia's, West Springfield Avenue in Champaign.
Okay, completely my fault. I went to 5-way switching. We blew more switches than we have all year long. And that is completely 100% on me. It's been something that's been really good for us. I thought we could give them a little different look. Bad coaching move. Really bad coaching move tonight on that side. Should have went back early.
Another tough night at the rim. What are you seeing there other than just not converting?
Nothing else to say. I mean, when you get the ball to the rim, you got to make them, and you know it's. I'll take those shots every single day.
Brad, you got a pretty good look from Marcus at the end of OT. end of regulation. Did that sequence go down the way you planned it, or?
Absolutely. Got Boo Buie on him right at the front of the rim, and Marcus makes that 95% of the time. He hasn't missed that shot hardly at all. That one he had. They give them credit. They didn't foul. You know, we were in there hoping, trying to get fouled or have the opportunity to. You got a 10-footer.
Brad, those chants at Terrence, it's not going to be the last time he's going to hear them.
There were.
I don't know if you heard them or not.
There were.
I mean,
that's life on the road. We get all kinds of chants on the road.
Well, they're not regular types of chants, as you know. How do you think he's going to handle it going forward? How are you going to handle it as the team, man?
Oh, we're playing basketball. We're playing basketball. We've been in a lot of environments in this league, and I had chicken wings thrown at me last year at Maryland. So that stuff's insignificant to anything that will have anything to do with the outcome of a basketball game. We had a chance to win a basketball game today. Chance or no chance, we had a chance to win.
Who had a lot of long floaters in the first half? You guys, I'm assuming, were okay.
Great. 1-foot floaters from 17 feet. He makes them. Great. I mean, that's not an easy shot. And you know, to his credit, he's one of the best guards in this league, and he has the ability to make some of those. We were going to let him shoot him all night.
Terrence offensively seems like still trying to get into a rhythm.
Yeah.
What needs to happen there? Is it just
time?
Yeah.
Time. He was out for a month. Time.
Brady went with a lot of Justin instead of Ty in that second half in overtime. So what was the look there?
It kept Max on somebody else. And, you know, that Quincy got great looks at 3. I thought we really hurt him with that. I thought and Ty didn't play bad. It didn't have anything more to do with anything other than the matchups we felt like we had. I thought we were really good offensively. I thought we got great shots, great looks. We missed a bunch at the front of the rim. But, yeah, I mean, we shot 50% from the three-point line. We got everything we wanted.
Back on the drive with Sam Piper, ESPN Radio 93.5. You heard Brad Underwood speaking last night at Welsh Ryan Arena. Late night after an overtime. First of all, you have an 8 p.m. tip. I know I'm sounding like an old man, but and then also an overtime game.
You're starting to.
Yeah, what's going on?
I don't know. You better get used to staying up, my friend.
Well, I got home. I rolled into town about 1:30 last night. The fog was thick last night, and there's still fog today. What the?
I don't know.
Fog is going on.
We mentioned what Corey said yesterday. What are we in London?
Yeah, that was a good line.
Here's what you're going to be hearing soon.
Oh
my God! No!
Yeah.
I can remember just getting so mad, laying in bed, and all of a sudden, out of the blue, out of the complete silence, one of your kids, who's a baby, would just be like, meh. I'm like, no. It's like, don't move. Shh. Don't move. And then all of a sudden, they'd start crying again, and you're like,
yeah, I need to have the conversation with my son, who's not yet 2 years old. Like, we're really going to have to get you potty trained fast because two kids in diapers is going to be tough.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
You need to have you a diaper party or whatever they call it.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
I want to ask you guys about Terrence. Just the thoughts, first of all, on his play since coming back. 2-game sample size. It's not hugely surprising that he's been a little rusty. The jump shot hasn't been there.
No.
1 for 10 from 3 in the first 2 games. And didn't get to the rim a whole lot last night. I know the big storyline, one of them for Illinois, obviously the biggest one is defense, but Illinois, I think, was 16 for 38 at the rim. Just pretty ugly
I
number.
tweeted that out the other day. I'm like, is this missing layup thing going to continue?
Yeah.
They're not good at layups.
No. But only 3 of those were from Terrence, like 3 shots at the rim. So him getting to the basket, he did get fouled a handful of times, but just want to get your guys' thoughts on what you've seen from him so far and how soon you guys think he'll click back into place.
Saturday. I'm being dead serious.
Yeah, I kind of agree.
I'm being dead serious. Saturday is the return of Terrence. He's been rough. I mean, his jump shot, first of all, I always wondered how he made jump shots. Because the way he shoots is just kind of strange. It's not like Luke Goody goes straight up. It's the perfect placement with both hands. He releases it and he holds it for a minute, and it's like the art of shooting with Luke Goody.
Showed on instructional videos.
Exactly, yeah. And then you look at Shannon, who can take the quickest and just out of nowhere 3. And he never missed him, it seemed like, earlier this season. So he looks rough right now. And I think, I'll be honest with you, it's not only the adjustment physically, he's adjusting mentally. And I think there is something to probably Terrence. Well, look, and the other thing I said to you guys is before all of this broke on Terrence Shannon, the way he played is amazing to me. To understand that is weighing on you, and he's like the only, I know other people knew about it, but the majority of us didn't. Can you imagine having that weighing on you and going out and still performing as well as he did? And now you have to understand this is a kid that in less than a year could be in prison. You know what I'm saying? I mean, or not, obviously. I mean, we hope not, but I can't imagine carrying that and then trying to just wipe it away for 2 hours. I mean, as you get older, life throws things at you, and you have to be able to handle it. And sometimes you have to just kind of put it, like it's like that pit in your stomach thing. So, and I think Terrence is adjusting to he's probably, I mean, I don't know Terrence, but he's a quiet kid. He seems like a great kid. He's probably like, well, I don't want to just come back and start leading the team in field goal attempts. Like, I feel like I need to pay my dues to get back to where I was. I just think there's a lot going on. And, he played his first road game. I'm sure that was something that he wasn't looking forward to and was a little bit worried about. And, and the home game is probably, I mean, obviously had the big dunk, and that had to feel great to hear the crowd and know the support behind him. But I don't know. It's been rough, but I think it's a lot of mental as opposed to physical. But, Kyle, I have the same thought. I think Saturday is going to be one of those 26.8 rebound kind of games for Terrence Shannon. And I think Indiana they'll allow him to do that because they're just not very good.
No, there's no one on Indiana that's checking
who's
him.
guarding him? Trey Galloway?
Please.
I like watching Trey.
That's one. Yeah.
He's kind of a funny
He's a try-hard guy.
He is, and he's kind of a funny dude. Like,
yeah.
He'll make like this goofy bounce pass to a teammate that's 4 foot away and there's nobody guarding him. But he'll do like the old school, like you learned how to do when you were like 6 years old where you put the foot in front of it and you do the thumbs down. Like, that's what Galloway does. And I'm like, I like that guy. He's like an old school. He's got an old heart.
He's had his moments.
Oh, yeah.
Especially like down the stretch of last year, Indiana was playing a lot better and nice complimentary player.
He's played well this year. This last game, he had like 17, led him in rebounds. I mean,
right. He's the only guard on Indiana that is capable of doing anything.
You're
so.
right.
Yeah.
Xavier Johnson.
Now, on the note of like matchups, I thought last night, now I didn't expect Terrence to come out and be shot out of a cannon and be this dominant force like he was prior, even though I wondered how he'd handle some of the things that were said, and maybe that would light a fire under him. And the matchup standpoint, though, Northwestern's backcourt of Bowie and Ty Berry and Langborg, like, they don't have the size and athleticism to match with Terrence. So I thought there was a chance that would be a real good opportunity for Terrence to attack downhill and drive those guys. And last night he was loose with the ball at times. I felt like Illinois offensively was a little frantic.
Agreed.
Now they put up 91 points in an overtime game, so it wasn't like the scoring was a big issue. But
I think it's the thought that you see the ball go through the hoop on the other end all the time, and you're like, we got to keep scoring with them.
Yeah, and on that note, I think that probably not getting stops probably dialed back what you could do in transition, which is a big part of Terrence as well.
That's a great point, Derek. I hadn't thought of. That's exactly I mean, that's his game.
Right. I do know defensively too. He's made some mistakes or just gotten flat out beat. Like Bowie drove him on the most crucial possession of the game defensively, drove him, pump faked him, Terrence jumped, and then he laid it in to tie the game. But he's got to be better defensively. And I think part of that's probably just, even though he might be fresh physically, just stepping away from the momentum of playing in games and playing in practice and having mistakes cleaned up or just being in that flow. He's out of it now, and you can just tell he's out of sync and out of rhythm. Part of the time it looks like he's forced it. Part of the time it looks like he's maybe a little too hesitant offensively. Kyle, what do you think? What did you see last night?
I mean, didn't he airball? By the way, Kyle, I'm sorry. Didn't he airball a game or a ball against Rutgers?
Yeah.
Right. When's the last time that happened?
He left like 5-3 short against Rutgers and a couple more last night.
He made a big one late.
That clutch one.
He did.
That was almost, and it didn't really carry over into overtime, but that was almost one where it's like, all right, that's a shot where maybe the switch turns, like he's back now. But he looks uncomfortable, and like there is something about how there was just such a rhythm that the team was in. And I know that probably, Brad Underwood even said it in that first press conference, like they've added some things, and there's just some, whether it's defensive coverages or, offense, like he just hasn't been within the flow of the team. And that chemistry that they had, thinking back to the Missouri game, all of a sudden he's taken out of that, and now he's got to be reinserted. And I think that's where some of those just like mental mistakes on defense and some hesitancy on offense, because like Lon said, I think there is a situation where it's like, all right, I don't need to come in here, and I don't really want to come in here and be a guy that, all right, I'm forcing things. And so it feels like he's trying to figure out how to work his way back into a team that was flowing without him. But I think he ultimately will. I also wouldn't be surprised if his home road splits are pretty drastic the rest of the year.
That's true.
He might not show it on the court, but like, you go to Michigan State in a couple weeks, and last night, like, that gets to you mentally. It has to.
It has to.
And I think it's going to be easier for him when he's in an environment in State Farm Center where he is going to have a lot of support, and he's already felt that on Sunday, and even saw he was energized and was more it felt like he was even more comfortable Sunday than last night. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if there's some drastic home road splits with him too, and you'd have to understand why.
How much fun was the Illinois-Missouri game? Like, think about, life was good.
Yeah.
We didn't know about any of this. You just beat Missouri by 30. Terrence Shannon was All-American, a first-rounder probably. Christmas is like 2 days away.
Mm-hmm. You got a Purdue game coming up.
Yeah. I mean, take yourself back to that night, and you're just like, you're going to bed going, like, life is good. And like now it's like we're, with Shannon in mind, we're just trying to get him back up to speed. But it tells me that when he gets back up to speed, this is going to be a hard team to beat.
Yeah, I still think that point holds. Now, I know that since the Missouri game, we kind of knew that they weren't very good going in.
Right.
They're brutal. They're 0-6 in the SEC. They're 8-11. They've lost 6 straight. But the extent that they dominated in that game is like, this looks like a legit Big Ten title contender that can push Purdue.
Yep.
And also have a chance to go really deep. So let me ask you, Kyle hit on it there with the road, and I saw and heard it in person last night. I wasn't down at the court level. I was farther up. But still, like, Brad in the clip that we played got asked about it, and he's made a very deliberate effort to not acknowledge any of it. I get why. You don't want to
the same way.
You don't want to fuel the fire anymore.
Nope.
You don't want to draw any extra attention that's already being drawn towards the rape charge, the bringing him back and reinstating him, just the criticism that's been drawn up towards Illinois, towards Brad. I know that was an attempt. There was an attempt to clear that up yesterday with the statement that the U of I put out. But I don't think he's obviously being entirely truthful, probably, in that it is even comparable to the other stuff that Illinois faces on the road, even though that's what he says. I don't know if he's partway trying to develop a mindset with his team of like, it's all the same, we face this stuff anyway, or if also it's a bigger part of, I don't want to say anything that will make people then write about it and draw even more attention to it.
Oh, he knows. And
he knows,
and this
for sure.
This isn't even close. You're talking about a guy, whatever side of this you're on, you're talking about a guy that is playing a sport for 2 hours to try to forget everything else in his life. And in the meantime, every 5 minutes he's being yelled guilty, no means no. I mean, and what's that going to do? It's going to bring it right back to you it's not even close to being the same. You can rip on Coleman Hawkins' mom's name, and I'm just making that up. I have no idea what his mom's name is, by the way. Like, you can, like, the Crush probably does some fun stuff with, they've heard some goofy story about some Iowa player, or
the guy
they were chanting Harry Potter at the Rutgers
guy.
That was a good one.
My buddy Don today was at the game with his wife, and he's like, Barb looked at me and goes, "That's so cruel." I was like, "Are you serious? That's nothing." But
that's harmless, though.
It's harmless. Yeah. This isn't.
Right.
And I'm not scolding the other college students for doing it. I'm not scolding them for doing it.
Because like you said, Illinois did the no means no, and they'd probably be doing it to somebody else.
That's as personal, and not just personal, but that's like, his life could change his life is going to change in a huge way later this year. I mean, I can't imagine that hanging over me and then hearing you are not guilty of this. And then you've got a new lease on life. Or if it was the other way, and what all he's going to face after that. I have never in my life had a decision as important as what's facing Terrence Shannon. And he's 23 years old?
Yeah.
And imagine then being reminded of that constantly on the one place that you can go to escape on a basketball court. Your true love, and then all of a sudden you're constantly reminded. It's daunting to me. And Brad, kudos to Brad. I mean, and the coaches, they do what they can to deflect. It's not even close to what these players go through. And, I mean, it's not even close.
It's not. And you do just have to wonder, and I talking to some people last night, it made me think about just any kind of instance where tensions boil over. The students are really, really close to the floor.
Oh.
And if someone said something just that struck the right nerve and the right emotion, it could get ugly.
That's a great point.
So it's something that obviously I'm imagining behind the scenes, and the players aren't going to talk about it. Brad's not going to talk about it, but I'm sure has been discussed of just what you're going to face and what you kind of got to just swallow. Unfortunately,
you do.
I know what 217 says. The guilty chant, the Orange Crush chant, innocent. Like
no, because it's just bringing it back up again.
You wish there was more.
Don't chant anything that has anything to do with any of it.
Yeah, you wish there was more middle ground.
Let him go have 2 hours to just play basketball and not. I mean, listen, in a year, I can look back on this and say, well, he deserved all that crap. You know what I'm saying?
Because we just don't know.
We just don't know, but it's like, right now, I'm not doing anything to remind him of that. Mm-mm.
Especially not, the home side.
Right,
But of course, wherever he goes in the road is.
Yeah, it's just tough. I can't imagine being in his spot with this hanging over you.
It's probably a bad.
Imagine to me, Derek, if I said you're going to go to jail for 12 years. Like, think that through your mind. Like, what? And I don't know what the sentencing would be. I'm just, if I told you, Derek, I'm going to decide in 30 days whether or not you're going to jail. Can you imagine every waking hour of your life you're thinking about that?
Of course, yeah.
Oh, and by the way, instead of you making that $3 million a year, you're never going to make any money off basketball again. I mean, there are just so many heavy factors that are going to be decided in Terrence Shannon's life soon.
Mm-hmm.
How do you go out and make a jump shot?
Yeah, that's a lot weighing on him, and we'll see how he handles it. And also, it spills over to the team. I mean, any building that Illinois walks into.
Yeah, because you're going to be – that's your buddy, right? And listen, if one of my buddies was in this predicament, I'm going to have their back until I don't.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
Until something tells me that, nope, you don't have their back anymore.
Right.
If I'm out at a bar with a buddy who's been accused of something and somebody gives him crap about it, that's your buddy.
Exactly.
So like you said, I mean, you're going to have guys on this Illinois team that are quick-twitched when it comes to – and you wonder, like, what did Barry say? Like,
I wonder about that.
And
I wonder about
Coleman was like ready to pounce.
Well, you heard Luke allude to it earlier when he said, that when he got hurt, when he got the elbow to the face on the drive, that there were some things saying like, I hope you stay down, like wishing injury, like that type of stuff.
Yeah,
that absolutely is unacceptable, but it's going to happen.
Right. Yeah. Anymore, by the way, my buddies would have to get the guy on the ground, and then I'll just lay on him. They're not getting me off of him. It's like, man, Tay, how much do you weigh now? I'm like, good luck. You're down here for a while, big boy.
Yeah. Road games coming up for Illinois the rest of the way. At Ohio State, at Michigan State, at Maryland, at Penn State, at Wisconsin, at Iowa.
Ohio State will have 5,000 people there.
Ohio State's a library. That place is.
Do you think Iowa's the most?
Oh.
I mean, it's probably not.
They're lined up right now.
Close, right? Yeah.
Who is it? Michigan State. That'll be brutal.
Michigan State's going to be the